Bargani Riches, welcome back to the channel. Well, today I am actually on my way to work. It is 6:15 now. I've been driving for 30 minutes already, and yes, I do leave really early in the morning when I have to drive into the office. So I was just watching Glamazante vlogs, and she's on her vacation in Bora Bora. And I said, wow, that made me think about some of the things that I like to do when I'm on vacation. And I have a vacation coming up, and I was trying to figure out, okay, what adventurous stuff do I want to do for this vacation? There we go. So I was thinking of all the things that I had already done, and I was thinking that, oh, I went horseback riding, but I actually went horseback riding for the first time in the Turks of Caicos. And the Turks of Caicos is a small island, and they're famously known for their salt that they have there. So the island is, you know, there's sand everywhere. So I actually went horseback riding for the first time on an island where there was all sand. And I also went horseback riding on land and bareback in sea, in the water. And I was so nervous. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was so nervous because, like, you know, when you get on a roller coaster, that's something you don't have any control over. And so as soon as you get on the horse, it's like no longer your control. I mean, you can steer them, but, you know, if the horse is having a bad day, you know, they can buck you off, or if they see a snake, they can bust off running. You know, anything can happen, right? And it was the first time I was on a horse. So I was frightened. I was so scared and nervous. But a credit to the people that offer these tours, they don't give you any time to second guess your decision. Like, you know, you don't have any extra time to be like, oh, I think I want to, you know, change my mind on this. I don't think I'm ready. Because as soon as you get out, I mean, as soon as you get off the ship, you get on a little van, and as soon as you get out the van drops you right at this barn. And when you take about 10 steps to get to the barn, the horses are right there ready. So they elevate you. When you walk in the barn, it's already elevated. So I didn't have to climb on a horse. I just had to walk out from the barn, and the horse was right there. So it's at the level of the horse. And I was so nervous and scared. But there was a little kid there that was like 12 years old that, you know, made me feel like, okay, you know, I got this. He was not nervous at all or anything. So I was like, oh yeah, I can do it. He can do it. I can do it. I was still scared. I was still all the way scared. But I kind of pulled it in a little bit because I didn't want, you know, to disappoint the kid and be like, oh, I don't want to do this. So it was rough too, because I had never rode a horse before, so I didn't know you turn this way or how you make them slow down. But the people that took us on the tour was trying to, you know, guide me as much as they could. And we actually we rode these horses all through the little town, and I thought that was it. You know, I was fine with that. I did not realize that the second part of the trip we were going to take these animals into the water, and you know, we was going to ride, and I didn't even know it was called bareback. All I know was they took everything off the horse, and I had to sit on the horse just like they was. But luckily, and we was in the ocean, like the horse's neck, the water was all the way up to the horse's neck. But luckily, once we got in the water, the guides was on one horse, and he had my horse also cord or lasso, whatever you call it. And he sort of guided us in the water, but they did all types of jumping tricks in the water, like galloping fast and everything. It was so frightening as I think about it now, because normally when people learn how to ride a horse, they're just like, you know, on a flat surface, you know, at the horse range or whatever they call it, and you just going around in circles, and you can go slow if you want to until you kind of get the commands and stuff like that. It was not no time. Like, they was like, get on, left, right, slow down, that's it, let's go. I was so nervous and so scared, but I made it through. And I was just sitting here getting ready to get tight again. I was getting ready to get real tight, thinking about how frightening that was for me to get on an animal. And then you up in the air, like you at least a story up in the air. Like a horse is not like a dog right at the ground. You get up on the elevated surface on the air. So then once I got to thinking about it, I said, you get ready to start to feel anxiety all over again about this horse ride. I know it was about 4 years ago. And did you forget you actually rode a camel in Egypt? And I was like, what? Yeah, I forgot that like 2 years ago, I actually rode a camel, and not just a camel in a circus. I was on the desert in Egypt. And that is a huge accomplishment, because they are way up in the air, at least 2 stories. Camels are huge, okay? They have to lay down in order for you to get up on them. They lay all the way down. They're on their knees, laying down like, you know, a dog rests on the floor, and then you sit on them there. And when that camel started going up in the air, I thought I was going to throw up. I was so nervous. I was so scared. I thought I was going to throw up for sure. But once you up there, those people are trying to give you an experience. This for anywhere you go. They're trying to give you an experience. They do not want you talking about you want to come down or anything. They not stopping. They are not stopping. I could have peed on myself and it would not have mattered. They was going to make sure I rode this camel. And when I look at a camel versus a horse, and both of those experiences, and I said, wow, you know, the horse wasn't that bad. When you put things into perspective, the horse wasn't that bad, because I actually got up in the air 2+ stories and relied on a camel to ride me through the desert. And I'm trying to figure out, I was on that camel by myself. Yeah, I was on the camel by myself. I think the guide was on the side of me on a camel too. But the camel could have just took off. The camel could have just went on about his business and knocked me off or anything. Like, the camel could have been like, look, I ain't trying to work today, okay? But it didn't happen like that. So this morning I was just thinking about how nervous and scared I was to do one thing. And sometimes when you're in the midst of the battle, you don't really realize what you accomplished or what it actually took for you to get over that. And it wasn't until I stepped back and was able to put some things into perspective I was able to see that, you know, wow, camel not bad. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to, I just fell into a zone because I had to cut somebody off. So I don't know who this message is for. I don't know where you are in your life's journey. This message was really for me to remember that if there's anything I want to do, I can always think about my experience on that camel and that horse. And I wasn't young. I was in my going on 50s, 40s, and there was a guy that was a little guy that was 12 that jumped on with no fear. But if there's ever been anything you wanted to do in life,